This is a second round of a presentation, and this is especially for us, GBCs, on what we have been doing at the life levels to help align the evolution of our certification schemes with the levels framework. You are all aware of some of the goals and objectives of this project financed by the LIFE program, which has been probably the basis for the Building Life, this other big project that joins a lot of GBCs. The project aimed at helping the levels framework to reach the countries, to reach the industries, to reach the professionals, and to be better understood as a tool to report, to help with the transparency, and to help evolve also certification schemes. It has helped us to develop some national, some consultations, some basics for national databases on data to feed LCA. And it has helped us to understand better how can the whole policy environment in Europe and at the countries to better align into these common goals to fight for climate change and so on. Let me share very shortly the agenda of the day so that you know what you will find. Are you watching my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So I will be very short with this introduction. You know Anna, you know Pat, you know Valentina, you know Remy. They have best practices into this, and they will tell us later how the levels framework has been and can still be better and better integrated into their certification schemes. This will be more or less the first half of the meeting. The second half, for over 1 hour, we will have the chance to discuss on how in our own countries, in our own certification schemes, and in other certification schemes, this can be still done. There will be some presentations, and as I mentioned, the big goal is to discuss how can we help this integration. Anna will remind us a bit further on the details of the Life Levels project, the consortium, the timing, and so on. I leave you for now, and I hope you really enjoy this workshop. Thank you, Anna, all yours.
Thank you, Borja. It was very kind, an introduction from your side. I have two technical remarks. If everybody who's not speaking could turn off the camera, then we can save some bits and bytes. And secondly, the tone, but you're all doing it. We will have a discussion later on, and whenever you say something, it would be really nice to introduce yourself with saying which organization you work for, so that we are all clear. Secondly, the meeting is recorded for internal reasons, so there won't be, it is for our purposes of documenting everything. And if the Commission asks us if we really had the meeting, then we have an evidence. And with this, I will briefly say who I am. I am Anna Braune, Head of Research and Development at the German Sustainable Building Council. And I am leading the German activities in the project that Borja has just talked about, and I have been involved in the development of levels, in being part of the consultation, being part of the tester round, and so the project was just a natural follow-up of activities. Since people are still joining, which is great, you're not losing anything. I would like to give you sorry, I just need to share my screen now. I would like to give you a short introduction on the alignment of levels with certification schemes. within our consortium and our experience with it. And then you know that we have invited other certification schemes outside the consortium. The goal is, of course, to discuss whether or not the instruments that we have developed so far during the project are useful for you, and if you could make use of it, if you plan to make use of it, this will be the part of the discussion later on. So I think that levels does not really has to be introduced. I'm not really introducing levels by saying, you know, it's 24 indicators or whatever, and 6 macro objectives. No, is it 6? Yes, it's 6. But it's more about the one slide that says levels is a standardized reporting format. It has the idea of providing sustainability indicators, metrics to provide information on buildings, on the sustainability quality of buildings, so that common metrics along the life cycle can be rolled out and used in Europe for different purposes. Levels is getting more and more interesting for most of us because of, I think, also it is mentioned in the Green Deal, it is mentioned in the Circular Economy Action Plan, it is mentioned, or clear links are now seen in the sustainable finance activities, the EU taxonomy for buildings. So I don't know how it is in your country, but in Germany and in our countries, there is a gaining interest, a rising interest in the levels framework. We, the consortium, are 8 green building councils from Europe. It's the Croatian Green Building Council, the Spanish, the Dutch Green Building Council, the German Sustainable Building Council. It's the Alliance HQE from France. It's the Irish Green Building Council, the Green Building Council Italia, and Green Building Council from Finland. We are working since 1.5 years very intensely together on the levels topic, I would say, and main goal of the first part of the project was to map our certification schemes against the levels framework, but also to develop data, LCA data, especially for some of the countries who do not have yet databases, and to prepare ourselves for capacity building programs, which are mainly part of the second part of the goal of the second part of the project, based on levels. But now the focus is on the technical aspects, I would say, the alignment of levels with certification schemes. We have developed 2 instruments, which are also, you can find them on the project website. Everybody can download this. It's the mapping procedure, and it is a reporting template. The mapping procedure is linking, is an instrument that helps you linking the levels indicators, not only for LCA, LCC, and indoor air quality, but for those in a detailed way, because from a project perspective, these indicators are sort of the focal criteria that we look at, but it is helping you to map your scheme against levels. It gives you a qualitative answer on how aligned your scheme is with levels. We have used the scheme, and this is part of our experiences that we want to share with you. And in the second part of the meeting, we would like to discuss with you whether or not you will use it, or if you have used it, what your experiences are. The purpose, of course, is to not only to show the gaps, but to allow you to in future work towards a more aligned certification scheme by seeing what gaps you have. Then the second instrument is the reporting template. which is actually a different way of using the levels technical documentation documentation that is available on the JRC website. It is a condensed Excel file, an instrument that can be used really to fill in project-specific data for all 3 levels. And we have developed this, and we should discuss and maybe show also how the GBCs plan to make use of it. And the goal of the meeting today is also to, first of all, make you aware that these 2 instruments exist, and then secondly, to get feedback on the instruments to make them even better, so that you also make use of it. To start with the mapping procedure, as we called it, it's like a tool of the tools. It is an Excel file. It allows you, it's based on 3 sheets. It allows you to perform a detailed assessment, conformity assessment of the focal indicators on LCA, LCC, and indoor air quality, and a more general qualitative conformity assessment of all levels indicators. It is based, as I said, it's 1 Excel sheet with 3 internal sheets. Number 1 is the building description, which summarizes what levels would expect from as a description of the building. The second sheet is the detailed mapping on all the details of LCC, LCA, and indoor air quality, where a degree of compliance is sort of calculated and visualized, categorized in a sort of compliance rating. And the third sheet is a qualitative screening of all levels indicators on a higher level, where you can, if you use it, see, what indicators are within your scheme, and you can track it. You can make your own comments, and which allows you to get an overview of compliance per indicator, also visualized. So the first one, actually, when you look at the technical documents of levels, it says that a detailed or a building description should be available. And on this slide here, you can see parts of the building description that is required. It is always all sheets are structured in a way that the white part is always, the questions or the requirements from levels. The light blue part is where we provided a drop-down element by saying, is it covered or not? It's a yes or no. And this orange part here is where you can type in your own comments by noting, oh no, I don't have it in my scheme, would be a good idea to introduce it to the next version. And the building description, in our case, for example, we said, well, it's really good to have such a condensed overview of the building. So from the German perspective, we had sometimes a no, but in future we will include it by saying, it's really good to have such a building or a condensed way of providing information, like technical information on the building. Then the second sheet is really a detailed mapping, which is quite lengthy because it goes step by step through all levels for life cycle, or let's say the greenhouse gas emissions, the life cycle costing indicator, and the indoor air quality indicators. We have really put in sort of the levels information or the requirements, as you can see it here, sort of as a copy pasted from the technical files of levels or building technical description. And then you, as a user of the tool, can decide whether or not you have these elements of levels in your own certification scheme. And we have it like compliant and non-compliant, or included, not included. And actually it's a yes or no question. So do you have this specific question in your certification scheme, yes or no? And you can make optional comments yourself. So it is nothing that you should send somewhere, but maybe your technical board is interested in finding out how conform your scheme is with levels. Then you can use the tool and go through it step by step and make your comments and go back to your technical board and say, you know what, we do have some red cells. We should think about including a new indicator, new credits, new whatever. We also have this, we use sort of the step-by-step introductions of level 2 and level 3, and then you can always sort of identify whether or not this is part of your scheme or not. The result of the mapping sheet 2 of the detailed mapping is really, we use a quantitative numbers. So every yes is sort of a point, and at the end, and every no is a no point, and at the end you can see that in this fictional example that yeah, this scheme seems to be 100% reporting compliant with the reporting, but yeah, the checklist of the design concept is like, there seems to be one missing. Or in this case, the reporting is missing at all. And the overall indicator compliance in this case would be, yeah, 72.5%. So it is, yeah, not really compliant. We said between 50 and 80% degree of compliance, it's major deviations. Between 80 and 95%, it's minor deviations, and between 95 and 100%, it's like a similar or fully compliant with levels, and a 0 or value between 0 and 50% is like missing, so you don't have it. And this is also the color code. So the more red and orange and yellow, the more you would have to do to make your scheme compliant to these indicators. And on level, on mapping sheet 3, it's for all levels, all indicators of levels. It is really also a yes and no sort of question, but you could also say similar, some deviations, we do it different, or we don't have it at all. So this would be the result in level 3. And you can comment on what you have filled in. The mapping tool can be downloaded from the project website. So we had to update it because we had the first version based on the testing, or the beta version of levels, and then we had a major update in January and February, and we released it early spring. So you can download the file, make use of it if you haven't done it yet. The second part of what we have done and what we think that certification operators can make use of it is a common levels reporting template. So this reporting template is made to is made for the purpose of showing the clients, the users at the end, you know, this is the result of using the whole like technical documentation that you can find on the JRC website, for example. So what is the result of levels? Level or the application? It is a reporting. And we made a very condensed sort of form of reporting. It is also an Excel file, so everybody can use it, type in numbers or yes and no's. And We think that it's really important to get a sort of, although it's a lot of copy and pasting, I would say from the technical guidance documents from levels, it is sort of a way that presents sort of the final results of a levels application. We as DGNB will provide this reporting template with a specific documentation on how to report levels compliant based on DGNB certification, with, you know, tips and tricks and indicators in the certification scheme that help you finding the answers on the questions. And it would be really good to have maybe a European-wide understanding, common understanding on, you know, of the result of a levels application. So if you think this is useful for your certification scheme or for your market, it would be great not to reinvent the wheel. But if you could say, you know what, I'm using the same reporting template, it seems to make sense, it looks okay, so nobody has to do the work twice. The way it is structured, it's according to what you have seen before. So first of all, of course, it's the building description, where the location, typology, use of the building, and so on can be then sort of reported. So the idea is that these fields will be filled in by the users. Then for level 1, we have a template. It's all in the same file, but a sheet that allows level 1 reporting, which is mainly a yes and no answer. So it's, in this case here, for macro objective 2, the indicator 2.4, taken from the levels guidance, of course, like the requirements, and then the users can type in yes or no if they did it and how they did it. This is all similar to what the levels guide asks for. It looks maybe a bit nicer, or it's put into a template that can be worked with. What we have, apart from the, let's say, visual part, that it looks nicer and that it's just a really applicable tool, is that we introduced information on the quality of the data, because we think that it's really important that the users of, the readers of levels report understand also whether or not the information provided by their planners, for example, whether or not it's a self-declaration, whether or not it's internally reviewed or externally verified by whatever, for example, a GBC. So this is what we have introduced ourselves. The rest is more or less, not just more or less, the rest is levels coming from the levels framework. The same holds true for level 2 and 3 reporting. We have introduced some formulas which make it easier to calculate figures, for example, when values are asked for, but it is really like a copy-paste part of the levels reporting description of the technical guidance document. And again, where just values are being asked, the values can be typed in, and then again, a question on the quality of the data should come. As an example, for level 1, so for if somebody has used it, the levels framework for this indicator 2.1, and in this case it's all a yes, and levels ask for a very short description how it is achieved. So you can see it here. This would be something the user would type in, and whether or not it's verified, for example, then by certification of your country. An example for level 2 reporting, where it's more about the facts and figures and numbers, in this case also the bill of quantities, like, you know, the total mass of tons and percentages of the total, and in this case we have some formulas as well to check whether or not the figures are right. As a sort of a case study, I would like to present how we made use of especially the mapping file. DGNB has introduced, I would say, in 2018 with our new version at that time, we introduced most or many of the levels beta version indicators already into our certification scheme. So we looked at the levels beta version and introduced new indicators. In some cases we said, no, we're not changing our way of our methodology because it's too far away. But in order to say that you know, our scheme is supporting the European idea, we have called it one of our core themes of development, and we made communication with it. So we said there's 6 things that we have changed from the further version in 2018, was it? We have the people as a focal point, we have circular economy, we have Baukultur, we have the SDGs, we have innovation and EU conformity. And this was seen, we got very positive feedback from that, that we said EU conformity is a topic. In our scheme, these are the indicators for the new construction scheme. There's a lot of, I would say, criteria that are linked to levels. So it's not just 1 or 2, but it's many. And the way they are sort of, I would say, sorted is also, not very linear. So when doing the mapping, we could see that, several indicators, but as you can see, there's a lot of overlap, but it's not one-to-one, mapping of one indicator and levels goes to one criteria in our scheme. But overall, the new construction scheme of 2018 is okay conform, I would say, with levels. We have seen that we have many similar aspects. We have some deviations and some indicators of levels are missing. So, and this is sort of the green, yellow, and red part. And what we will do now is that in our next version, we will make use of identifying the gaps in detail and looking, updating our scheme also to be fully levels compliant. And sort of the yellow and red part tells us exactly what to do and what where we have some trouble. But in what we also do for our communication, and maybe this is something you could also consider for your schemes, is that we regarded, or that we made use of, which indicators in our scheme would be filled in by a levels report. So if somebody would come for an energy efficient building that is an okay building, I would say, but only brings the levels indicators or a levels report, how would the rating from a DGNB perspective be? And we have seen that there's a 50%, I would say, it's a nearly silver certificate. If the building would be super duper, it would be a 60. It would be a silver certificate in this case. So we start certifying with from 50% on. So it's all the weighting inside. So we, as DGNB, have this fulfillment, degree of fulfillment of our criteria. But as you can see, there's also a lot of gaps. So the gray part are indicators of DGNB that are not, where there's no levels, yeah, I would say sister criteria, so process quality, site quality, some social aspects are totally missing, some environmental aspects are missing, biodiversity, for example, and some technical aspects are missing from our perspective. So that's why levels would never give 100% rating, but would even stick then with an okay silver certificate. But the other way around, if this building, the same building would fulfill all the other indicators that are missing from levels in an okay way, it would be a gold certificate. But anyways, you can play with this as well. Last slide, what are we planning to do? So in total, levels has given us and gives us valuable impulses for further development of our scheme. We have seen that the level 3 of levels is, yeah, sort of partly covered in new construction scheme, partly covered in our buildings in use scheme, because we have a different way of, yeah, sort of presenting or stimulating the markets with our schemes. We are currently updating the renovation scheme, which will be sort of, I think, like 100% or fully compliant also with levels. So effective reporting according to levels will be available. And for new construction, we will update sort of in near future, but not too near, our scheme, and then it will be also fully compliant. If you have questions to myself, you can find my contact details here or on the website. And now I would like to talk to Borja, I think it's Stephen, Marco, and Remy about their experiences. Borja is from GBC España, Stephen from the Irish Green Building Council, Marco Caffi from the GBC Italia, and Remy from the Dutch Green Building Council. So I'll stop sharing. And so, oh no, it's Pat, or Pat, you're in the call as well. That's great. So Borja, would you like to start talking about the Spanish experiences with the instruments that I have just presented?
Yeah, thank you. I have my colleague Paula around, and she's actually the one expert in the issue, the one who has been working at the life levels team in Spain on this. So please, Paula, at any time, just jump in. I will be very brief. If you want to support, please do so. Yes, we have Verde, this Spanish, very much adapted to the Spanish culture, the Spanish situation certification tool. As you have mentioned, there were different levels of maturity in our certification schemes, and Verde is one of these tools on the intermediate level of maturity, meaning that although it fully works, it does not have the extensive experience, the extensive figures like the DGNB and others. Having said that, it has been applied to all sorts of buildings, all sorts of sizes, and we qualify them from one leaf, one green leaf, to 5 green leaves. And we have buildings in all this amplitude, all this scope, from the very best bioclimatic, built with natural materials, with very, very low impacts, buildings, to other which have some assets, some items considered, but not all of them. Issues related to life cycle analysis are fully there. The main, and also issues related with indoor air quality. For us, there is a big challenge with issues related with life cycle costing. And this is something which is under development, and we hope to have it included, if not by the end of the year, by the beginning of 22. What we aim at is to partially, not fully, include the levels framework indicators into Verde, to have a partial sort of compliance that helps users, developers, architects, consultants to have a pre-check while doing Verde, how close are they to comply with the levels framework, very much in the line of the work done with this mapping and so on. I would say, but please, Paula, just correct me and complete it. It has been a lot of learning for us as a team, as a producer of a local certification scheme, and more importantly, even than that, as a channel between all the innovation in this area and the public sector, especially the public administration, especially the public activities leading to standardization, to a common set of rules to compare buildings and to green public procurement criteria. GBC España has had a narrow contact with the Ministry for Buildings in the last 10 years. We have been the channel to help them understand levels from the beginning, since 2015. And this collaboration is getting more and more important, and it's actually part of the strategic collaboration for this and next year. There are more, so far, regional administrations in Spain than the national administration involving and developing the levels framework. But we have had one of these national agencies who decided this year to certify all their buildings with Verde in order to align them also with the levels framework. So I would say that the evolution and the forecasting for the second half of the year and for next year is very positive. The market is growing, the demand is growing, and therefore the need for coherent tools that talk to one another, that show the same results with the same language indicators and units, and that translate into an understandable, better building. I think all these issues are relevant and being accepted in Spain. I know, Paula, if you want to add something.
If not, Paula, I think this was a very good overview. Very specifically, Borja, maybe Paula, will you, I know that you have used the mapping tool, but what is your plan with, have you considered using also the reporting template? What is your plan with it?
Hello, thank you, Borja. I think your presentation has been very, very complete. It's okay. Yes, now we are working with the templates that you provide us, and those are very, very helpful for us to understand which kind of changes we need to do in Verde. What are the priority, what are the second phases that we can avoid the next year, for example. And well, we are now in this work. We hope that for the end of this year, we can, the indicators that you are working on in the life levels implemented in Verde. We don't know still if we will implement that in the third level with all the capacity of levels, but it's sure that all of those indicators will appear in verde, and the people can begin to work with them and understand how much the report's been done and why it's very important to work with these indicators.
Yeah. No, this is really nice. Maybe Pat, you have done a nice movement. Just would you like to say something how you worked with it in Ireland or what your plans are?
Yes, we have been working over the past couple of months looking at how we integrate life levels. Just to give you a bit of background, we developed the Home Performance Index. Like within Ireland, we already had kind of competing tools like LEED or BREEAM that very much took care of the non-residential area. But most of the environmental impacts from buildings in Ireland, the big driver of massive environmental impacts come from the residential sector due to, poor planning, sprawl. And that's why we developed the Home Performance Index, to have a holistic approach to sustainability, and really to start bringing to home buyers and to investors that, you have to, the type of homes we were building and the type of way that we were building homes was completely unviable and unsustainable. So that's why we developed a Home Performance Index system to tackle all of those buildings that, the BREEAMs and the LEED don't cover. And it's aimed at very much at mass penetration of the market, where we would, in our dreams, we want to get to 50–60% of all homes. I suppose at the moment it's a relatively new system. We've about over 3,000 homes registered at the moment, and it's starting to be taken up now by a lot of social housing, by our Dublin City Council, by larger investors now, because it's now recognised by GRESB as a full point system. The Home Building Finance Ireland, which is the government bank that finances home building, have now linked it to a discounted development loan. So what we have been doing, so we've got a challenge with housing in not making certification overly complex, but complex enough to be actually, credible. So we have been applying, we already included whole life carbon within our life cycle assessment in accordance with EN 15978. So what we're looking at is getting a couple of those indicators really fully aligned with levels, making sure that the the scope is correct, that we use the same scope, that we use, very much follow the same requirements as levels, so that that an LCA is comparable. For things like LCC, we had not included LCC. We'd included a simplified, because we were considering it more aimed for the home buyer and the home renter. The LCC part wouldn't be as relevant for them. But of course, a lot of the people who are actually using Home Performance Index are investment funds. They're social housing bodies, and LCC actually is relevant to them, and they are actually interested in LCC. So now we're looking at how do we start to integrate, at least level 1 of levels for life cycle costing. We're not sure how usable or level 2 or 3 will be for life cycle costing, but definitely level 1 we want to integrate, and then perhaps we will look at integrating level 2 and 3. Indoor air quality we had already included, so again we want to look at aligning that properly with levels. We had included air quality testing, and I'm not saying that very many people necessarily looked at those indicators, but we want to make sure that they are fully aligned. And we're also developing a renovation version of it as well, because we're about to renovate 500,000 homes in the next 10 years. And the big issue is, can we do that to a certain level of quality? So again, we will be looking at all of the indicators that we can integrate from the levels frameworks on indoor air quality. Yeah, if there's any other question, and in terms of the reporting, I suppose again the challenge is how difficult can we make it? I suppose the key benefit of the Home Performance Index over BREEAM or LEED is that we use our Irish building regulations. We don't want to confuse people with all these other double measurement systems, so we don't want them having to comply with building regulations and then having to do another form of test to meet the same requirement or using another standard. So it's very much aligned with building regulations. So building regulations is national building regulations as baseline, and then you're building above that. So again, it's the importance of having a national rating system is that you're basically, you want people to, it needs to meet national policy objectives on planning, on building regulations and European directives. So it needs to align with everything people already need to align with, but then measure how they're performing against those targets and how they're outperforming those targets. So for us, that's incredibly important. So our aim was always to align fully with European indicators. So, you know, when we developed it, we looked at all of the best practice European indicators to start with. So levels for us is a great opportunity to make sure that we are aligned. Like we can't be following the UK anymore, obviously, because they've left the European Union. So we have to follow European standards. So levels provides us that opportunity to align as far as possible with those.
Good. There's a lot of work to be done, I think. So your scheme now is like partly compliant, but you use the levels framework sort of to also update and prepare yourself for future requirements, most likely also from regulation part, right? I mean, you are also leading the group work on the LCA data development. So I think you're doing a lot of background work as well to be at the end very compliant to European standards then and European procedures, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a part of the route we're on is educating the whole market as well. So, you know, everybody knows what an LCA is now, but doing it in a way that's comparable is really important. So having all of that infrastructure in place, we don't have databases, we don't have, you know, we don't have a national methodology. And this offers us the opportunity to take levels, align data requirements, quality of data requirements and methodologies, and then educate the market. This is the way we're going to do an LCA. And if we do it this way, everybody does it this way, then, you know, we have some hope then of comparing it and creating benchmarks. And that hopefully will lead to an improvement in environmental outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Pat. Was really a nice insight. Marco, I think if we could continue with the Italian perspective and your experiences with our tools and the project.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a pleasure. So if I can share my screen, I have also some picture to show you. So maybe can make. Okay.
Yeah, can you help him maybe?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Okay. So it's just to explain something that the work that we did about the mapping between our rating system and levels. So maybe, as you know, we have a different kind of rating system in Italy. We have a specific rating system for different kind of buildings, and we have another rating system that is for the neighborhood, the GBC quartieri we call. And so we have one rating system for home, one for historic building, one for existing residential building, multifamily, the condominium. So we map the relationship between levels and our rating system for those three systems. And these activities make more deeper our understanding of how also our rating system is working on our market. That's the other thing that was very important for us to make these mapping activities, because we must, in the critical way, try to understand how our rating system is working on our market. But just a few words about how our rating system is connecting to levels. For the building description, there's no problem. You can see the picture is quite all green. So I have some picture about the tables that Anna showed before. So you can see here the mapping for our rating system about the building description. It's quite all green, so there's no problem. When you talk about LCA indicators and you stay on the first indicator about use stage energy performance, there's no big problem for us. I think that, okay, there is some red point, but it's not a problem. So we are strongly aligned with the levels. The problem arrives when you, in Italy, with our rating system, but also for other rating systems that are at the moment in Italy diffused. I talk about Italian rating system, obviously, not DGNB, that also are using someone in Italy also. Other international rating system, I'm talking about Italian specific rating system. So the LCA indicators are not compliant with our rating system. We are very far to be compliant with levels. That's a critical point, but also a good point for us, because it means that we don't have to adapt something that we have a partial already done to something different, but we can start to approach the review of our rating system taking into account all the levels indication. So maybe this could be a critical point, but also an opportunity for us to start from a blank sheet. So you can write from the beginning everything. That's the first point. That's critical for us because we have a lot of work to do. About indoor air quality, okay, there are some red points, especially for the existing building, because when you operate about a renovation in existing building, especially for our rating system for multifamily existing building, the condominium, we don't give indication to operate inside the single apartment, so we can't operate a very renovation also about the indoor air quality. But okay, there is a lot of red, but we are not so far. So we think that red point will be solved in easy way. That's no problem for us. The other problem is like the LCA indicators for LCC. So we have a very big red picture, but the same consideration that I did before. So that I said before, that's our point of view. What we are doing and what we want to do about our rating system, and then some few words about the lack of the hour market and the opportunity. So as you can see, the picture on the left, that is the resume of the analysis, there is some red point, but a lot of yellow and green also. So we are not so far. And also close to this mapping, with our past president, the Professor Giuliano Dallò, that is a professor at the Politecnico di Milano, is working on a research about levels and versus the other international rating system, for example, CASB, BREEAM, LEED, in order to understand how also levels works and is similar with other rating systems. So with Giuliano, that is also inside our executive committee and is the delegate for the innovation activities, we are working on to understand how, taking his research and our mapping, try to understand how we can innovate our rating system, putting inside the reporting tool that is very useful for us. It's a very good job. We are starting to apply the reporting tool to some buildings in order to understand how it's working for our market. And obviously we have, as I said at the beginning of my short presentation, we have some specific rating system, for example, for historic building, for which we develop specific credits or specific options, and we try to understand how we can put and connect this. For example, the historical value of the building, or for existing building, we study some option about the structural, the structure resistance, or some other resilience and durability topics, and we are trying to understand how we can connect to levels. Obviously, levels are a package of indicators that don't take in account, as Anna said before, all the big picture of the sustainability and the impact of the building, but we are trying to understand this. So we are working on this with Giuliano as manager of the research to transform our rating system. The first lack, the more big lack of our market is that about LCA and LCC, we don't have a national data platform. We are working for this with, in the few months, we was involved in a very great project. That is a project with the National Energy and Environmental Agency, with, that they are working on the national LCA platform, the national platform LCA material platform for all the different sectors. So the automotive, buildings, clothes, all. And for building, they call us to be on the table to help to the construction of this platform. And this project is not a one of the general projects. The project is asked directly by the Ministry of the Environment, that is now the Ecological Transition Ministry in Italy, okay? The ministry asked to the national agency to develop this platform, the National LCA Material Platform, and for the building we are involved. So we think that the road is very long, but this gap, we can try to solve this gap for the Italian market, the data for the LCA analysis. The opportunity is, as other countries like in Spain and in Ireland, as Pat and Borja said, about the green public procurement. You know that in Italy we have since 2016 a decree, specific decree about green public procurement for buildings. Inside this decree there are a lot of reference to the rating system, national and international rating system. That means that now the ministry are reviewing the decree, but what we are trying to do is maintain the reference to the rating system and try to give to the ministry the indication that levels will be one way to report the impact. So in the decree, they have to maintain the rating system as one way to apply the green public procurement for building sector in Italy and connect the levels as the reporting of the appliance of the rating system. And we are working on this, and we think it is a very great opportunity, obviously, for our market. That's just to give you a picture of what we are doing and what is the result of our work. That is thanks to all the consortium, because it's very important for us. It's a very good stimulus to do something.
I have the same feeling. Thank you so much, Marco, for sharing your view and your insights. This was more than I expected. We haven't asked to prepare a presentation because sometimes it's really like, you know, an internal perspective of saying, you know, oh, we don't have this indicator. It would be nice to have it. But yeah, we don't talk about it too loud. But as you can see, we are sort of in an internal round, and all the different colleagues here in the country that are active in different countries. So it's really, really valuable that you shared your insights. I have one question on how the Green Deal is seen, or is this something where there's a lot of movement in Italy as well? Because you know, it's all about at the end funding going to the different countries. How do you think, how much, you know, how much is levels, Green Deal, and sort of the building sector, especially I think renovation wave as well will this stimulate your work as well? And are you well prepared now with sort of?
I think that levels could help us to try to give some good proposal to manage all the fund of the Green Deal and the renovation wave and so on. Just to talk about one specific example that is characteristic for Italy. You know that we had in 2016 a earthquake in the center of Italy. Now the central part of Italy is the biggest site, the biggest reconstruction site after the Second World War in Europe. It's a very big area where the reconstruction is very hard job, and a lot of fund will use for the reconstruction of this part of Italy. What we are doing also with our president is inside a specific commission of the ministry for the reconstruction is try to say we for this big area must be give the funds for if you apply a way to be sure that you will arrive to a sustainable level for the reconstruction. And so one way is apply rating system, different kind of rating system, national, international, that respect what? Respect some indicators. And what we are trying to do is, and we had a call with Josefina, is try to say also we have to use the levels indicator for the reconstruction in order to catch a lot of data of this site.
Okay.
That's one way, that is just one example. So we are trying to use this big site, this very enormous area. We have 4 regions, Italian regions, that are involved in this reconstruction, where we have to manage, for example, the way to reuse the demolition materials that are very big. So about the SCA valuation of the reuse of material, the circularity of this point. So that's a way, a practical way where we are trying to guide the Green Deal fund to transform Italy. That's one. Just an example.
Very, very impressive. Valentina, you are the one driving the whole project from Italian perspective, and Marco has presented. I'm pretty sure you have, it's really nice to see your picture here. But I will move over to our colleague from the Dutch Green Building Council. Thank you so much, Marco and Valentina.
Yeah, sorry for being late. I was in another call, I'm really sorry.
No worries. Remy, oh, you have also slides. We haven't talked about it, but I'm not afraid of this. It's nice. Like last time we had we chatted, but Remy, you are, I think I put you on the as last because what you will say is like, you know, we're compliant. It's totally conform. But go on.
So we're not doing anything anymore for this project because we're already compliant. No, kidding. We also made a comparison of levels versus BREEAM. The Dutch Green Building Council is the host of the BREEAM NL certification. And based on the indicators we have in BREEAM, we had a check on the levels. I want to share the main points we came up with. And as Anna mentioned, I think we can be pretty satisfied with the results. Also looking at the indicators, and most of the indicators are compliant to levels, but there are still some areas we can still develop and make and improve on to make it even better. And also for us, I think a main issue as well, looking at the levels indicators, we have to realize that not all buildings are BREEAM certified. So there's a huge amount of buildings or in the built environment that is not certified by BREEAM. And we should also pay attention to this, to how can we reach that target group as well, to have a look at levels and use the indicators and the framework. Getting back to the comparison between levels and BREEAM, I think the main deviations we found was that the BREEAM new build currently is not available for residential. We just launched the BREEAM NL in use guide, where also the residential buildings can be certified. So we are working on this. As for the new build, we will be working on this, but that will be next year probably. So we are aware of this gap and we will focus on this, and then of course take levels into account when developing these new indicators. Also looking at the function of interior and finishings. Right now it's missing within BREEAM, and this is also something we are working on currently, and we expect this to be published also at the beginning of next year, where we are now, and that's quite a good moment as well, to take these indicators of levels into account in this development. So yeah, I think that's a good thing. When we look at the qualitative indicators, the main deviation for us is in the LCC, as we do have an indicator on LCC in BREEAM, but it's not that deep. We need more specifications about the design variations and also on the mapping of the data. A couple of weeks ago, we organized also the briefing for the Dutch partners, interested parties. And there was a lot of interest in LCC. Also, some companies and consultants contacted us that they would like to share their knowledge on this as well. So I think this will be great for the coming period. We are organizing a congress about this specifically on LCC to also get more insight and knowledge shared within the Netherlands. So we are really working on this. As for BREEAM, we just launched a new builds last year. So this will take some time to adjust. And this is also where we are currently right now. In the process of the comparison is based on the indicators. And now we are looking at an in-depth analysis with the developers, my colleagues of BREEAM. And they will have a look at why did we choose some indicators, or why did we choose some guidelines or regulations within BREEAM, and what is the levels proposing, and how can we get these in line, and what should we focus on. I think this is this is quite a lot of work and will be continuously developed. As mentioned before, it takes like 1 or 2 years to develop a new guideline, and we just launched the new build, which is the biggest guideline. So I expect this to be in 2 or 3 years to be updated, and then we can take these new indicators into account. But still, I think it's for all of us. It's not like we can just do this within half a year and adjust all guidelines to levels, but it's a long-term vision. As we are working on the refurbishment and fit out, so this will be adapted to levels as well. As for the reporting template, I think that's a really great starting point for us to develop new indicators. And also the reporting template is mainly focused on comparison between levels and other frameworks. But I also shared it to interested peoples or participants of our meetings, as this is a really nice way to get a quick overview on what are the indicators within levels and how can you use these for your project or your procurement, or also for non-BREEAM NL projects, because I think that's really important as well. It gives a really great overview of the indicators, as the levels documents can be a bit much sometimes. And this is a really nice document to share. We've also put it on our website, which gives a quick insight in all indicators, all ways to be measured. So for us, that's also helpful. This is not the way this is not why we developed it as the consortium, but I think it's really helpful for us to, a nice way to communicate. So thanks for that. Yeah, so we will be continuously developing, and as we mentioned, we are doing quite well, but still there's a lot to do. Also looking at the non-BREEAM projects and procurements inside. So yeah, still a lot to do.
No, Remy, this was really a nice insight into what you did and what you're planning to do. With regard to communication, are you communicating to the users of BREEAM NL that whatever they do, that they are so compliant, or what is your idea? Or are you just starting with the briefings, or is it an important part maybe of your communication as well?
Yeah, we are currently working on this. I have, and now we had a new colleague on communications who will be also working on this project. So we have a bit more capacity on this. So that's really nice. And now we are planning, we are having this idea of planning 3 mini congresses, like half a day, and then focus on LCA, LCC, and indoor air quality. Targeting on all target groups and really being about sharing the examples and about, first, of course, we also briefed everybody, and it's also an online education part on the basics of levels. And in these congresses, we would like to share more knowledge, like I mentioned, like the LCA consultants, they can be part of this and really share this with everybody. For the BREEAM users or the certifiers, we are currently working on this, and I feel like we first should do this in-depth analysis. This will be finished in the next 2 months, I think, and then we can really tell them, like, this is compliant, this is not compliant, this is where we're heading. Also getting a lot of requests from constructors and also producers of building materials or installations, and they would like to know, operating internationally as well, like, what should I do? And then BREEAM NL is not always sufficient. So then we tell them about levels as well, like, this is the thing you should do at least if you want to be compliant for the next years, decades coming up. So I think that's really helpful. Right now we're really in planning this all and getting it all together to start after the summer, really sharing and being active in promoting this, aside from what we're doing right now, like sharing the basics, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So very nice. Thank you so much, Remy.
Thank you, Anna.
This was really great. We have now 45 minutes for the rest of the participants to ask questions and to discuss. And since we are a little bit less people than we expected, it would be really nice if the additional participants, but rather looking at an organizational perspective, you come from different organizations, as I can see from the names. If per organization, maybe we could make a round. What do you think about the tools and what you have seen so far? And if you could maybe ask your questions or maybe an insight, or if you have used it. I have seen, so I'm picking on somebody, this is really mean, but I have seen that Duygu is going to leave soon. Maybe Duygu, you're from Turkey. If you would like to, since I know you, I hope you're still in the call. Could you, no, she just left.
No, hi, Anna.
No?
I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Duygu. So I'm picking on you to start.
Actually, I'm not representing Turkish GBC here, but I'm a member of DGNB. That's why
okay, good.
It's also a little bit of a personal interest because I am going to write a paper on the alignment of levels, and Turkish government recently came up with the national certification scheme. They have been working on it since 3 years. I want to compare the alignment between this national scheme and levels. And as as Remy put it out, there's so much stuff, it's overwhelming. And I'm on my own, so I'm still reading, but I'm sure your work will be very useful to me, especially if it's going to be on the web of .gbc.
Okay.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so please make use of the mapping tool. I think this is really useful for you. You can just use it as an instrument,
yes.
Go through the Turkish guideline and check whether or not and how compliant it is with levels.
How can I get the mapping tool? Who has the mapping tool?
It's based on, it's also downloadable from the website, but we will make a follow-up mail sending
excellent.
all participants.
Excellent.
Good. Then I'm looking at the names, Pia and Malin. I think you're from the Swedish council. No, Malin from the Norwegian. I don't know. Maybe Pia. I know you, Pia. So I'm just picking on you.
Yeah. Hello, Anna. Yes, nice to hear your presentation and interesting to see how the other GBCs are mapping their certification systems. Actually, it's my colleague Malin who is going to do a project on the mapping of our certification system at the Sweden Green Building Council. We have a number of them. So, and they are focused on different parts of levels, I would say. I'm responsible for two systems, the net zero carbon system and the green building, which is only focused on energy efficiency. It's an old European Union system that we now have in-house in Sweden. But when we developed the net zero carbon system, noll CO2 in Swedish, we had an eye on the levels criteria, and we have aligned as far as possible this system with the levels. So what we miss is maybe the exterior parts of your property, but I think that's not that significant what you build on in parts of groundworks for gardening and stuff like that. So otherwise the net zero certification system should be aligned with levels, but I have to use the mapping tool to verify that. So maybe Malin, if you want to say some words.
Thank you. Malin, we cannot hear you. Although
sorry. Can you hear me now? Yes.
Yes.
No, I have actually not much to add, but I would like to thank you very much for interesting presentation. And I just started here at SGBC for 1 week ago, so I'm quite new. I come from the material as a material supplier. So thank you.
Okay, good.
I have nothing more. Thank you.
No, that's good. Have you also considered or had you look at the reporting template? Do you think this makes use, or this is something the Swedish like certification?
I have looked at it, but it's quite tricky because we have, you know, the manuals for our systems where it's specified what to report back, and I'm not sure it will be an add-on in that case if we ask our projects to also report in the levels reporting template. Might be possible if it's desirable from your perspective, but I think we have to discuss that with internally, and I guess Malin will be the moderator of that discussion then, because today it's but the BREEAM system should be possible to align in the same fashion, I guess, as it was presented here today. So we'll see. Yeah.
Okay, good. So now you're aware that I would say a simple Excel-based file that condenses all the indicators into one document and makes, you know, like this is what levels is about. This would be the result of a levels application of the of an application of the technical guidance, which is really something for. Sometimes I feel like this is really so specific, but not for the real users. So we are transforming or translating very often what is meant. So people rather read our certification and say, oh, by the way, you know, this, it's like a byproduct. We can make this levels reporting. So that's our plan. It might be an idea for, if you have a lot of consistency, then it could be used as well for the communication part. Yeah.
Yes, of course. We will look into it, Anna,
yeah,
to see what we can do. Yeah,
if you have feedback by saying, you know, we don't like the color, or I don't understand this, or, you know, but if this would be different, we would use it. Our idea in the project is also to find some alignment on, you know, at the end, maybe on these simple reportings, although we're talking about real estate and it's not mobile, but we know that market participants are internationally active. So maybe they say, oh, you know, the levels report from this country looks always different from that country. Can I compare it or not? And then we can say, yes, it's all the same basis. It's a format, a standardized format. That would be our idea. So if you have feedback, whenever you have it, it would be really nice to get this.
Yeah, we will collect it and discuss it with you. So, of course.
No worries.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And then I can see some names that I cannot point directly. So it's Alexandra and...
Anna, maybe just to give you a short overview, I think we have a Polish GBC. We also have someone from Norway, from some Finnish organizations, and also from the European Commission, maybe. So if these organizations are still here on board, maybe you could, one of you could just jump up.
Who dares?
No, I think you are starting to call me out. Alexander here, European Commission. Let me just put the camera on. It is really interesting to see how you're using the word we have developed. I'm representing a joint research center and the team who actually work on levels. Me personally.
I have lost your connection. Either I have lost the connection or you. Can somebody hear me still?
Yeah, we hear you, Anna.
From your experience. Oops, do you hear me still?
Now again, yes, it's better. But maybe I will turn off my camera, and now we've seen you, but your internet connection seems to be a little bit slower, so we've seen you.
So I don't know how much you heard from what I said. Nothing? Okay. Well, then I will repeat, no problem. I hope you can hear me better now. So I'm here on behalf of the team who actually developed levels. So we are super curious to see how this works in practice, and here mainly out of curiosity. But there is also another angle. We are currently working on the review of the GPP criteria, and the main objective is to actually integrate the levels concept. And the idea is to learn from your experience as well, to see what are the difficulties with levels and see what we can do more to integrate it in the GPP. So very interesting presentation, and I think we'll be following back on all of those case studies to discuss further.
Yeah, the green public procurement criteria, I mean, I think it's really then about setting also benchmarks, and or maybe it's about transparency plus benchmarks. But the way, for example, Marco has talked about also the fund and using levels to maybe provide sustainability, quality. I think this might be very interesting then as well to say, you know, how far can you go? How high can the quality being asked by public procurers? So yes, if we could stay in contact, and if you would like to have other information from the project team, I think we're very happy to share whatever you would like to ask. This is always, yes, it would be really nice, but then I have a question. We have Dorota Bartosz. Maybe you're from which organization? You're the only one I haven't seen now. But maybe if we have a comment or questions on what we have presented. No, this is mean picking people. But anyways, it's nice. We still have time, but anyway, if we stop earlier, I think everybody would be really happy to save some minutes before either lunch or the next meetings, which usually take place. What is maybe into the round, the reporting template, or Alexandra, maybe this is also again a question to you. When you think about when you are developing the green public procurement aspects, do you think the reporting template that we have developed, I mean, it's just like collecting all, the technical aspects into one Excel file. Is this something that sort of also in our countries before the European perspective comes, that we could and should introduce to our governments and cities and so on? What is your perspective on?
Maybe just short comments. I would say that it is important for levels itself, maybe not necessarily for GPP, but because we get comments on levels that it gets a little bit of complicated to go through the guidance, and so having the template that you have developed may actually help to provide this data in an easier way. So I think we will give it a look, and I don't think we have on the call the colleague who is our leading person, but I will definitely bring it to the attention internally, because we know that levels has just started and we will need to improve it in the future. So I think this proposal will be further worked out. So thanks for developing those.
No, it was an idea that we developed during the project, and the Commission is thankfully funding it. I have a question maybe to our colleagues to Croatia. Benjamin, you have been playing a role of helping us with the meetings here, but you are also Green Building Council, so maybe what is your plan? I know that you are the only GBC in the project until now without, or when we started without an own certification scheme, but
yes, thanks Anna, and thanks for this great presentation, and to all of the participants for their input. And yes, Croatia GBC is the only GBC within the Life Levels Consortium without our own certification scheme, but that is about to change, because I am always mentioning this project and the relevance of this project for Croatian national market because of the awareness that it has developed, not only from the perspective of levels and the importance of integration of levels within existing certificates and public procurement practices, but also to us as a GBC and our board of directors and membership network. Really a higher level of knowledge has been developed in the previous year and a half, and therefore Croatian GBC is in the last few months starting conversations with the DGNB about applying the DGNB practices into development of Croatian version of DGNB certificate. So this is something that we are going towards right at these moments, and in the coming few months we should be able to start the process more intensively, and then we will definitely look into the use of everything that came out of this project to integrate levels into our version of the certificate that will be developed. So basically, I think we're in a great position as a GBC without a certificate to be a part of Life Levels Consortium and to follow the whole process of developing the mapping procedure and the reporting template, and to adjust it to our own needs as we are developing our version of the DGNB certificate. So this is, we are basically a great test subject in this project. But of course, the results will be able to be noticed in the coming period, in the next 6 months to a year, as the process of integration and the education of our own experts unfolds.
Okay. No, that's, I know a little bit, but then we are doing more communication as well towards you, how the alignment is already there of the existing schemes. I have maybe, since we have some more time left, I would like to ask maybe Marco, and I'm just looking at Remy and Pat and Borja, sort of the, I know that you have, you could also share some insights into other aspects of the project. But Marco, you have shown us, or maybe it's Marco, and it's always so, it's a blank situation. Yes, Marco. What Remy has said, that it's a 1 to 2 years stage of you know, redeveloping or developing a tool. What is your plan from a timing perspective? What do you expect? I mean, at the end, it's always different, but
okay.
So
my dream is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And also because I think that the need of the market and the sector is to have in few times a really good instrument for our national market. I think that a reasonable program is that in the autumn, before the end of the year, we'll have the structure of all the renovation of our system, and in less than 1 year we will have the system review. That's my point of view. Because we don't have to change all, but okay. And I think that this will be in line with the position of the Commission that are saying that in 2022 the Commission want to promote levels as one of the basic tools for the green public procurement. So if we will have in 2022 a renovation of our systems, I think not only for the Italian, I think about of the system in Europe for the GBCs, we can be able to support this program of the European Commission. That's our, at the moment, our program. So, okay, so not 2 years, but a little bit less, but 1 year and a half, yeah, for sure.
Pat, would this be sort of also this the green public procurement criteria from the Commission? Is this something that you are also, or that is influencing your project plan for updating the home performance index? And to Pat, if he's still in the call, I think so. Should be. I was interested whether or not the renovation of, yes, hello, whether or not it's all about new construction or renovation, and what do you do about renovation? Maybe I missed it earlier this morning. So is sort of the timing, you know, by saying, you know, the Commission will present something in 2022 by PIA, is this influencing your project plan in updating or doing something new? And then secondly, about renovating, I'm very interested.
Yes, well, I suppose similar to Marco, we see the opportunity, well, one of the reasons, say, Dublin City Council has specified home performance index on their entire social housing programme is because there isn't really proper guidance yet on green public procurement, and they see this as a route to applying green public procurement to housing. So aligning it, it's really critical that we align with levels and with the green public procurement guidance. And we have been doing quite a bit of work with the officials who are drawing up the guidance on green public procurement, and very much around aligning with levels and with the particularly the LCA aspects of it. In terms of renovation, that's the thing we continually get asked by, for example, Dublin City Council are continually asking, when are you going to have the renovation version of this? Because we want to apply the same indicators to the renovation of our existing housing stock. So, you know, they keep asking us, and it is something we're supposed to be doing this year. We have a two-year revision cycle for Home Performance Index, and this is our third revision this year. So we're trying to get all that work done at the moment. And so yes, that's very much in our sights to include renovation, and possibly not at the individual home level, but for groups of homes, because it's not really feasible to add the costs onto a single home. You have to be doing, so that's what we're trying to work out. It'll have to be done at scale. So if you're doing renovating 100 homes, that you would apply the indicators across them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is very interesting that sort of you're guiding your government also to look at levels, because it will come most likely as a sort of more than a proposal in future to make real green public procurement in a way. Okay, good. Thank you. I have another question to Remy that came to my mind on I know that your government is more brave, I would say, than other governments, especially on the embodied carbon and the whole life carbon emissions. We know that you have benchmarks that have to be met when you're constructing, and I would be interested whether or not the calculation rules are similar or compliant, or how far they are away from levels, and what does it mean? So if they are different, what does it mean? Maybe that would be interesting, because more and more people also think about making it mandatory, making LCA mandatory, for example, and then how.
Yeah. I think for LCA, this is mandatory, and of course the carbon is within this. And right now we're in the development nationally on the carbon and also embodied carbon to measure this and make regulations about this. My colleague is working on that part, so I'm not really sure how this is developing and what's the exact status of this. But for LCA, we have this national database, and then you're obliged to, when you get a building permit, to fill in this calculation on building materials. And then, to say it easy, you have to be below 1 per square meter, or and they're changing this value constantly, so it's getting lower. And within BREEAM, we also refer to this and then set the benchmark even better. So I think that's a really great way to do this. But there's also some challenges in this, because the database is mainly category 3 data. So, and we're also investigating this also from the Dutch Green Building Council, like how can we improve this? And also from the national database, the operating company the company who operates the database, this is changed last year as well. So we are in this transition phase on how can we improve the use of LCA and the carbon footprint, and how can we make this better. And also for us now, it's kind of waiting, or not waiting, but we have to see how this develops and also how we're gonna react to this as well. So I think everybody likes the idea of having this and it works for the permit process, but does it really influence the choices of the materials, and how can we help the decision makers, the architects, the builders to do this? I think there's still a great way to go in this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hope I answered your question.
No,
but
No, the question is, for example, in our case, so in Germany, we cannot provide all GWP indicators because our database is not equivalent to what has been asked now. So, and then I'm asking myself, or questions come up like, what would be, if if that's not fully compliant, for example, or if green public procurement and then regulation and so on is not really fitting. So I think in your case, I have received some questions on the GWP indicators as well. And the way it's calculated.
And I think one of the main challenges as well, and I think that's really important to how do you react to innovation or new building materials or bio-based materials. And I think that's a challenge to not forget this group of developers and also help them to stimulate this from the construction industry to not just stick with the concrete and wood and steel, but also take this step further, and you don't want to create a system where you leave out these innovative materials or ways of constructing. And that's also one of the issues nationally we're discussing now with buildings and the government on how we should facilitate this better. Yeah.
Very good. So we are losing participants, and I would say since I think most of us could say something or raise questions on where are the tools, what can I do with it. I was being asked if we could at least take, of those who are still there, a small group picture. So if you could all turn on your cameras, please, it would be really nice. Then Benjamin, Thea, you will take a picture. This is nice. Really nice. Yes. Marco with glasses, good. Yeah, I'm putting on my glasses as well. Hi, Felix. Felix is from the German council, so he is the one behind the technical work, by the way. So the one who developed the tools.
Okay, we have one missing, but I think I can take a picture. Okay, smile, everyone.
Good. Nice.
Wait a minute.
A minute?
No,
a minute smiling. There's no minute for smiling.
Just a minute to save the screenshot, and one more. Now, please smile.
Again. Spaghetti. Very good. Good. Thank you so much. Marco, Valentina, are you saying spaghetti when you're smiling as well? So in Germany, we always say spaghetti.
Can you say again? I wasn't here.
Oh, Tuiko is in the call. Sorry. Tia, you have to redo the picture.
No problem. We'll do once again. Okay. Smile, everyone. Okay, done.
Okay, teşekkür. Right?
Teşekkür. Thank you. Danke schön.
Good. Then the best thing to offer in these crazy times is time. I'm giving you now 15 minutes of your time. You can do whatever you want to do that you haven't planned, that you go out, get a breath of fresh air, make a coffee, do something before your kids come home, whatever is happening in your home now. I thank you so much for your participation, for the presentations that I haven't been expected, but which were much better than I thought, which was really nice. Thank you, Marco and Remy, for the presentations, Pat and Borja for your insights, Alexandra also for giving us an insight from your side. Marlene, say hello to Pia again. Felix, again, thank you for doing all the technical work behind. Christine for the organization, and Thea and Benjamin as well. I think I haven't missed anybody. Valentina, Marco, you're the best Italian team I can imagine. Spaghetti. So take your time. Thank you so much, and we will update. We will send you an email to all participants with all the links and tools and whatever you need. So, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me or the rest of the team.
So thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Anna.
everyone.
Everyone.
Bye.
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 Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.